Hello and welcome to this full body vinyasa flow. Let's begin on our knees, and you can tuck your toes and just sit back on your heels and walk your hands up to your lap. Bring your body upright. We'll take a couple deep grounding breaths to begin the practice. Big breath in, expanding your chest outward towards the front of your mat. Then exhale your shoulder blades together and down your spine. Another breath like that, but this time raise your arms all the way up towards the sky, lifting your entire upper body. Exhale your left hand down to the ground and then reach over to the left with your right hand. Take a deep breath. Inhale both hands up overhead. Exhale your right hand down to the ground, reaching over to the right with your left hand. Inhale both hands up to the sky. And then exhale you forward fold. Bring your hands all the way down to the ground. And then bring your head to the ground. Keep your toes tucked. Take a couple deep breaths. Trying to expand your chest so that it meets your thighs on the inhale. And lift your hips, come into tabletop position, bring your palms underneath your shoulders, untuck your toes, and then spread your knees out a little bit wider than your hips. And we're going to just do a few cat-cows so that way we can warm up the spine. Take a deep breath in and lift your chin and your chest forward, trying to meet your tailbone. And then exhale, tucking your tailbone and your chin toward each other, and pushing your shoulders up to the sky. Inhale into cow pose, dropping your belly button straight to the ground. And then exhale, pushing your spine up towards the ceiling. Do this a few more times at your own pace, following your breath and taking a really long time to move between each posture. And come back to a neutral spine and wag your tail a little bit. Loosen up the hips and the spine. Now bring your knees directly under your hips and get a nice firm base. And then inhale your left hand up and your right foot straight back at the same time. And then exhale your knee and elbow under your body. Basically moving through cat-cow with your legs and arm extended. So inhaling extended into cow, exhaling into cat, crunching up into a ball under your body. Move through this at your own pace for a few breaths, following the breath. And on your next exhale, plant your left hand down and shoot your right leg straight out to the right and plant your foot down on the ground. And now we're going to do a few more cat-cows, but with our legs out to the right. Take a deep breath in, come into cow pose, dropping your belly button down and lifting your tailbone and chin. And then exhale into cat, pushing your shoulder blades up towards the sky and dropping your head. Do a couple rounds of this at your own pace. And then find a neutral spine. And now walk your hands all the way over to the left side of the mat, bringing your left hand in line with your left knee. And then reach up to the sky with your right hand. And you can even reach all the way to the left with your right hand, far over your body. push your hips forward to the front of the mat, and then turn your gaze upward. Take a couple deep breaths here. Slowly bring your right hand all the way down to meet your left hand on the ground, and then walk your hands forward to the front of your mat. And then walk them out a little bit more and drop your elbows to the mat and bring your head down. Lift your tailbone up towards the sky and take a couple deep breaths. Lift your head off the ground, walk your hands back to under your shoulders, and then walk them all the way over towards your right leg. And then take a deep breath in and reach your left arm up towards the sky, opening your chest to the front of the mat, and turn your gaze upward. Push your hips forward a little bit, lifting your body up away from your leg. Take some really deep breaths here. This is a really deep stretch. You don't want to crunch your side in. And slowly bring your left hand down to meet your right. And then walk your hands all the way to the front of your mat. Plant them firmly under your shoulders. Bring your right leg back into tabletop position and wag your tail a little bit. Now we'll do the same on the other side. Plant your left hand firmly down and then take a deep breath in, extending your right hand forward and your left leg straight back. And then exhale your knee and elbow together under your body. Inhale, extend out into cow pose. Exhale into cat pose, bringing your knee and elbow under your body. Do that a few more times at your own pace, following your breath. And on your next exhale, plant your right hand down and shoot your left leg straight out to the left and plant your foot down. And then we'll move through a few cat-cows right here. So take a deep breath in, lifting your chest and your chin. And exhale, tucking your chin and your tailbone down towards your knee. Inhale into cow pose. Exhale into cat. Do a couple more of these on your own. And then find a neutral spine and walk your hands all the way over to the right so that your right hand is in line with your right knee. And then reach up to the sky with your left hand and push your hips to the front of the mat. Take a couple deep breaths here. Slowly bring your left hand down to meet your right on the ground, and then walk your hands all the way to the front of the mat. And then walk them out a little bit more and drop your elbows. Bring your head down and take a deep breath here, lifting your tailbone up towards the sky. Lift your head and walk your hands back to under your shoulders, and then walk them all the way over to your left foot. And then reach up to the sky with your right hand and push your hips forward, lifting your body up off your leg. And you can bring your right hand all the way over to the left, over the top of you, for a nice deep stretch on the right hip. bring your right hand back down to meet your left, and then walk your hands to the front of the mat, under your shoulders, and then bring your left leg back in to tabletop. Wag your tail a little bit. And then spread your knees super wide, wider than your mat, and then sink your hips back into child's pose. Take a few deep, slow breaths. And lift your head and your hips, coming back into tabletop position with your knees under your hips. And then tuck your toes and push yourself back into downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet a little bit, wake up the backs of your legs. And then finding stillness in down dog. Push your heels into the mat and then take a deep breath in, broadening your chest towards the floor. And exhale your tailbone straight up to the sky. And another deep breath in, but reach your right foot straight back as far up as you can. Exhale your knee towards your nose, under your body. Inhale straight back again. Exhale, knee to your right elbow. Inhale straight back. Exhale your knee to your left elbow. Inhale straight back again. And now this time, stack your right hip on top of your left, opening your hips to the right side, and bend your right leg, tucking your heel all the way to your lower back. Take a deep breath here. And unstack your hips, bringing both hip joints to face the floor. Reach your right leg back up again, and then bring your knee towards your nose, dropping your foot between your hands at the front of the mat. You can drop your back knee down to the mat, untuck your left toes, and then push your hips forward to the front of the mat and tuck your chin towards your chest. And take a nice deep breath here. Straighten your right leg, send your hips back to over your left knee. Flex your right toes towards your face, and then just drop your head, let gravity pull it down. You can use some blocks under your hands here if it's hard for you to reach the ground. And then bend your right knee, planting your right foot firmly on the ground again. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, and then bring your body upright and come into Warrior One, a high lunge, pointing both hip joints forward, reaching your arms all the way up to the sky. Take a nice deep breath, always broadening the shoulders when you do. And slowly turn to the right. Drop your hands so that they're parallel to the ground, opening your palms to the right side of the mat. Keeping both hip joints facing forward and squeezing your inner thighs toward each other. That'll help you stay balanced and centered. Take a deep breath here. And then drop your right hand down to your left thigh and reach your left hand all the way up and behind you, while keeping your hip joints facing forward. And turn your body back to the front of the mat, reaching both arms up. And then take a deep breath. Open your body to the left side of the mat, dropping your left heel. Come into Warrior Two. Extend both arms out, parallel to the ground. Turn your gaze towards your right fingertips. And take a deep breath here. Drop your left hand to your left thigh. Reach your right arm all the way up towards the sky. Take a deep breath, opening your chest up towards the sky above you. And then bring your right hand down to your right knee. Reach your left hand up and over towards the front of the mat. Turn your gaze to the back of the mat. Bring your arms back up to warrior two, turning your gaze to the front of the mat. And then slowly turn yourself back into warrior one, reaching both arms up overhead. Slowly bring your hands down to the mat, and then you can drop your back knee if you need to right here. Plant your left hand firmly on the ground and then reach up towards the sky with your right hand, turning your body towards the right side of your mat. Release your right hand back down to the ground, and then send your foot straight back, and then drop your knees down to the mat and just come into a quick child's pose. Take a couple deep breaths here. Lift your head and your hips and tuck your toes, and then come back into downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in and lift your left leg straight back as high as you can go. And then exhale your knee to your nose. Inhale straight back. Exhale your knee to your left elbow. Inhale straight back. Exhale to your right elbow. Inhale straight back, and now stack your left hip on top of your right and bend your left leg, tucking your heel towards your lower back, and push your hips towards the left side of your mat. Take a deep breath. Now point both hip joints back down to the ground. Lift your left leg up, and then bring your knee towards your nose and drop your foot in between your hands at the front of the mat. You can drop your back knee, untuck your right toes, and then drop your chin towards your chest. Take a deep breath and just really push into your hips here towards the front of the mat. Straighten your left leg, bring your hips over your right knee, and then flex your left toes towards your body. You can grab some blocks if you need to bring the ground closer to you here. And then tuck your chin towards your chest and just let gravity pull on your body. And plant your left foot firmly down, bend your left knee, tuck your back toes, and lift your right knee off the ground and bring your body upright. Deep breath in, reach your arms up overhead into warrior one, a high lunge. Take a couple deep breaths here, pointing both hip joints forward and really just opening your shoulders and chest so they're not all crunched up against your ears. And slowly turn your body to the left side of the mat, dropping your hands so they're parallel to the ground, palms facing the left. Take a deep breath here. Drop your left hand back to your right leg and reach up to the sky with your right hand. Deep breath. Slowly turn yourself back to the front of the mat. Reach both arms up overhead. And then slowly open up into warrior two to the right side of the mat. Reaching your hands outward and turning your gaze to the front of the mat. Drop your right hand to your right leg. Reach up to the sky with your left hand. Deep breath. Then drop your left hand all the way to your left knee and reach up and over the top towards the front of the mat with your right hand. Come back into warrior two with both arms parallel to the ground. Eyes facing the front of the mat. And then turn yourself back into warrior one, bringing your body facing forward, arms reaching up. Slowly drop your hands down to the ground. Plant your right hand firmly on the ground and reach up to the sky with your left hand. Bring your left hand down to the ground. Send your left foot back. Drop your knees. Come into a wide child's pose. Spread your knees as wide as your mat. Drop your head to the mat and take a couple deep breaths here. Lift your head and your hips, coming into tabletop position. And then finding stillness, take a deep breath in, reach your right arm all the way up to the sky. And then exhale, bringing your arm under your body over to the left side of the mat. Drop your shoulder and your ear to the mat. Keep your hips lined up and take a deep breath here. And come back into tabletop. We'll do the same on the other side. Deep breath in, reaching your left hand all the way up to the sky. And then exhale your hand under your body, dropping your shoulder and your ear to the mat. Push against the ground with your right hand a little bit, deepening the twist. And then come back into tabletop. And now walk your knees forward a little bit so they're in the middle of your mat. And then bring your body upright. So you're just kneeling on your knees. And your knees and hips and shoulders are stacked in one straight line. You can widen your knees to however is comfortable so you feel nice and stable in this posture. Coming up, we're going to go into camel pose for a nice deep back bend. It is quite deep, so I'm just going to walk you through it and stop at any point wherever you feel comfortable, but I'm just going to guide you all the way back so your hands are on your heels. So we're all just on our knees now. Let's take a deep breath in, lift your chest forward, opening it to the front of the mat, lifting your chin slightly. Exhale your shoulder blades together and down your spine. Now bring your hands to your lower back, fingers pointing down, your palms at your lower back. We'll do another deep breath like that, lifting your chest up towards the sky, lifting your chin a little bit more so your gaze looks upward. Then exhale your shoulder blades together, pushing your hips forward. You can breathe slowly here. Another deep breath in, lifting your chest even more up to the sky. And if it feels comfortable for you, you can drop your head back a little more. And then slowly, if it's comfortable for you, you can drop your right hand to your right heel and reach your left hand up towards the sky. And if you'd like, you can drop your head more. And if you are okay with it, then you can drop your left hand to your left heel and drop your head completely back, pushing your hips forward. Wherever you're at, take a deep breath. If your hands are on your heels, then bring them to your lower back and slowly roll yourself back upright. And all of us sink our hips down to our heels, Walk your hands out to the front of the mat and come into child's pose with your head on the mat. Take a deep breath and just relax. And walk your hands back towards your body, lifting your body up off the ground. And then come onto your seat and extend your feet out in front of you. Toes flexed back at you, knees pushing into the ground, sitting upright. Take a deep breath in and reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Grab whatever you can, your ankles, your feet, your calves. Just drop your head. Take a couple deep breaths here. Slowly roll yourself upright. And then plant your hands on the ground on either side of you and scoot your hips forward a little bit so that your knees are bent and pointing straight up. And then with a really straight back and your chest pushing to the front of your mat, raise your arms so they're parallel to the ground but palms facing each other. And then slowly, one vertebra at a time, we'll roll back onto our backs until the last thing to touch is the head. Then bring your hands down to the ground. Have your palms facing down, pushing into the mat, and you can bring your feet a little bit closer. We're going to come into bridge, so you might want to bring your heels up against your seat, honestly, wherever is comfortable for you. And then take a deep breath in, pushing your feet into the ground. Lift your hips up as high as you can go. And then walk your shoulder blades together under your back. And bring your knees together so that they are right in line with your hips. And pushing up into the sky with your hips. Just breathe. Take a couple deep breaths. Push into the ground with your feet to bring a little bit more lift to your hips. Then slowly, one vertebra at a time, roll your spine back down to the mat. Then inhale, lift your hips as far up as you can go, pushing into the ground with your feet. Exhale, bring your hips back down to the ground. Do this a couple more times at your own pace. Inhaling your hips upward. And exhaling your hips down to the ground. And the next time your hips come into the ground, hug your knees into your chest. Give them a good squeeze. And then release your left leg in front of you down to the mat, hugging your right knee into your chest. With your left hand, guide your right knee all the way to the left side of the mat, and then extend your right hand out to the right of the mat and turn your gaze to look to the right fingertips. Bring your knee back into your chest and then hug both knees into your chest. Take a deep breath here. Release your right leg to the front, pushing your knee into the ground. And then hug your left knee into your chest. And with your right hand, guide your left knee all the way to the right side of the mat. And then extend your left hand out to the left and turn your gaze to look at your left fingertips. Bring your knee back into your chest. Hug both knees into the chest. And drop your feet down to the ground, knees pointing up, still bent. And then drop your knees down to the ground so you come into a butterfly pose, but you're on your back. And then let your hands rest at either side, palms facing up. Take a couple really deep breaths here and just try to relax into as much as you can. You can put some blocks under your knees so that way you can release and just have your legs and hips open in this relaxing posture. And when you're ready, you can walk your feet all the way out into Savasana, a final resting posture, letting the body integrate everything that we've just done, energetically, physically, spiritually. And you can stay here for as long as you like. I recommend as long as possible. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. If you liked this, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe.